All right, No Time to Die. James Bond's 25th, or James Bond 25, as they're saying, comes out tonight. In many markets, it's been out in Europe, and we're trying some of the Blackwell rum that Geoff Curley of Blackwell Rum is going to tell us about. A special bottling. James Bond has drank everything from amazingly bourbon whiskey to Scotch. Even had a bourbon a few years ago in a movie. He's had martinis, Heineken, wine, but in this film, he's enjoying some Blackwell rum. So, what do we have here, Geoff? And welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us
Yeah.
here on the
Yes. No.
launch
Thank
of
you.
No Time to Die.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah. So this all sort of started, or just the brand's been out for a little bit over a decade. So originally launched in Jamaica, where it's made, and I can kind of sort of get into the method and the process with that and where it's made. But yeah, came out a little over a decade ago, and this is the 25th installment of James Bond. This is Daniel Craig's last you know appearance in the franchise. Um, and this sort of all started. They were filming part of the No Time to Die movie in Jamaica. And I'm not sure if your viewers know, but Ian Fleming, who wrote all of the James Bond novels, penned them all from his villa in Jamaica. So he would summer in Jamaica. He was part of he worked for the government in England, and he worked for the Secret Service. He wasn't a spy. He was more of an office clerk, but he would, I think, sit at his desk in Jamaica. His tipple was gin, so he'd kind of get high on gin and smoke cigarettes and fascinate about this idea of being a special agent. And Bourne
Right.
was James Bond. It was almost him living vicariously through this character that he created. Fast forward, the home was sold and kept in the Fleming family, and then sold a few times. And then Chris Blackwell purchased the villa, kept it as a private residence, and then about 20 years ago turned it into Goldeneye, sort of an eco-friendly boutique resort on the north coast of Jamaica.
So the same owner that has the rum has this Goldeneye resort.
Exactly.
Where part of the movie was filmed, and I will show. This is the original, as far as I can tell. Is that right? This is the original Goldeneye. This is where.
Yeah, original Goldeneye. Yep.
That's
exactly.
where Ian Fleming had the gin and cigarettes and came up with the character James Bond. And then fast forward, Mr. Blackwell now has this, and people can go and stay on this resort where Ian Fleming originally had his property, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. It's adjacent to James Bond Beach. There's an actual beach called James Bond Beach in Jamaica as well. And the resort itself has a little sort of like tour of different sites that were featured in the movie James Bond Beach. Sort of a fun sort of like, I wouldn't say scavenger hunt, but kind of walking tour.
There we go. Picture of one of the
it's
lovely
beautiful.
villas. Have you been to this resort yourself?
I have. Yes, I have.
It looks like a fun place to. I mean, it must be a magical place to be.
Oh yeah, Jamaica is it's one of the most, if not the most special country in the Caribbean. I mean, the people, the culture, the history of the island itself is super deep. So Chris Blackwell, the founder of Blackwell Rum, some people might know that name if they're into music, but Chris was the founder of Island Records. So ironically, Chris's family was in the rum business when he was a wee young lad, and he was essentially going to be the heir apparent to the distillery that his family owned, which is called Wray and Nephew. So today, Blackwell Rum is made at Wray and Nephew. It's not owned by, the owners of Wray and Nephew, which is Campari, which is, they make Appleton rum there. But they do make this rum exclusively for Blackwell. It's our own barrels. It's our own selected rum, but done as a sort of a joint project with Chris Blackwell and Joy Spence, who's the master blender, master distiller there.
It's delicious, by the way, too. I'll tell everybody that's a fan of both rum and James Bond. You can get, this is a special bottling of it with the 007 logo. It's a special selection. You can actually order a bottle. Is that the only place you can get a bottle of this? Is You go to
it's at retail as well.
at
It's
retail.
just it's just a little spotty depending on we're not
Right.
nationally distributed. We're in all the kind of major metro markets. Your best bet is online, and just in terms of finding it. We do have a store locator on there too. Cool. So you
can find the rum there, and it sounds like there's a chance, according to some reports, of course the part of the movie, some of the scenes of James Bond, I think what I'm reading is he's in retirement, he's in his home in Jamaica. That part of Lee was filmed in the Goldeneye Resort, from what we understand.
Yes, yep, and sort of some of the surrounding areas that were shot for the film. Yeah, so the rum's in the film itself, like you mentioned, James Bond or Daniel Craig is sipping it. So it's a great sort of tie, sort of to bring it sort of full circle. Chris Blackwell was actually a PA, a production assistant on the Dr. No film, hired by the director and the producer, and he became friends with Sean Connery and the other actors who were in that movie. Yeah.
So the founder of the rum was actually a part of that very first film.
Yes.
He was a PA.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's always had this relationship.
He's always had this relationship. Chris is a British-born Jamaican, so he spent in his adolescent life going to Jamaica. His mother's family was from Jamaica, so he essentially grew up on the island, and has the culture and the roots of the island, running through his body. Yeah.
Fascinating story. So at some point, he's a PA on Dr. No. He gets to know Sean Connery, the producers along the years, and then after a while, that home became available, and he bought it, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history. Exactly.
That's a cool thing. And now, come full circle, his product is featured. And so this is what's so beautiful. I mean, there's so many great products, I'll say, featured in Bond films, but there's such a tie-in to history. Probably like no other product we could name that he personally has with both the film, the filmmakers, and with Ian Fleming. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
It's so interesting. It's a deep tie, and again, it's Geoff Curley from Blackwell Jamaican Rum. You're watching BoubonBlog Live. Make sure you check out blackwellrum.com if you want to get one of these bottles. Search one out. Tell us about the rum itself. I mean, whether we're getting this special bottle or the yellow label, and I'll show everybody.
Yeah. So the yellow label, this is sort of the original. Yeah. The original. We call it amber because the bottle itself actually has a tint to it, which is helps with UV and whatnot. But yeah, this is the original. The liquid in both is very, very similar. It's from the same. It's just the 007 limited edition is sort of barrel selected by Chris and Joy Spence. So yeah, like I mentioned, it's made at Ray and Nephew. Joy Spence is one of the most well-regarded, female master blender, master distillers in the industry, and probably the most well-regarded making rum today. So she's been sort of, leading the Appleton brand and Ray and Nephew into just, the nuances of what's happened with not just rum, but also with whiskey and different barrel finishes and getting a little different and unique than just the tried and true. So yeah, it's made in Jamaica. So it's made at Ray and Nephew from Jamaican workers with Jamaican, sugar cane. And I only say that just because there's a lot of rums that come out of the Caribbean that is very difficult to find out where they're actually from and how long they're actually aged. This is a 2.5 to 3 year age, so it's not aged that long. In the Caribbean, especially in Jamaica, when you have such a high heat and high humid, climate, tropical aging is an actual term and it's a real thing. So when you age something for 2.5, 3 years, it almost takes on the profile of doubling that. Evaporation happens a lot quicker. That part that evaporates out is much greater than when you barrel age something in Kentucky or in Scotland. So bigger, denser, more robust. It's aged in used American oak whiskey barrels. So it has some nuances that you get from, a whiskey barrel, some
Right.
vanilla, some deep kind of
Some
toasted
beautiful
marshmallow.
vanillas on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it tastes I think it tastes I mean, I like the Jamaican rum a lot. I think it tastes a little bit older than the 2.5, 3.5 year. I mean, this I was thinking 5 to 7. I mean, it has some deep notes, some
Yeah.
great barrel. You said marshmallow, of course, great caramels. The vanillas are just very elegant.
Hmm.
Some rums are I mean, obviously all rums are gonna have some sweetness, right? Not all rums, but I mean, that's part of what it's about. But it's a sweetness that's it's very, it's nuance. It's a nuanced
Yeah.
sweetness. What do people like? You taste a lot of people on this. What do people like most when you're tasting them on this?
Yeah, in terms of how they prefer to drink it.
Yeah, or just what they tell you they get. I mean, what do they or and just yeah, how do they like it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's we call it a black gold style,
Right.
and it's sort of we think it's the best of both worlds when it comes to within rum, and something that's aged. You have all the dense full body character of a blackstrap dark rum, but the weight of this liquid hits your palate more like a gold rum. So it's a bit more viscous and oily. It's not as thick and syrupy. Yet the full flavors there that gives it this ability that you can drink it on ice, and it's super pleasant. But it also has the versatility and it's very mixable. Chris's
Yeah.
preferred way of drinking it is kind of equal parts rum to equal parts fresh pineapple juice with a little
Ooh,
bit of like a lime squeeze,
nice.
which is very citrusy. Um, but any of the classic, rum daiquiri or rum gimlet, a swizzle, even when it comes to anything kind of frozen, a pina colada, it plays very well in all. Yeah.
But that's so good to pin it. What's your favorite cocktail you've ever had it in?
I love ginger. So,
Yeah.
I love having a dark and stormy. We're not allowed to say dark and stormy because Gosling's owns the trademark to that actual
I
name.
won't tell.
Yeah. So we call it a black and stormy if you use Blackwell. But yeah. And I also like a dark and stormy with a little splash of pineapple to just push a little bit more
Little of that flavor.
fresh citrus. Yeah. Yeah.
I
But yeah,
like I think tiki cocktails in many ways. I mean, the tiki bars were the big thing in 60s, 70s. I mean, depending upon what market you're in. But there's so many tiki bars that have sort of had a revival. And now even some events I go to, uh, not many, but there's quite a few bourbon brands that are try the bourbon in a tiki. I mean, they really have had a bit of a
oh yeah, it
comeback
is.
to tiki
And I
cocktails.
think
Yeah.
it's sort of a combination of a natural what goes around comes around, and some of that style and fashion of the 60s and 70s is
Oh
apparent
yeah.
in what designers are doing now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah, totally agree with you.
Now, of course, again, a lot of number of whiskeys featured in other Bond movies, and I may be wrong. I was just searching, but I think one of the only rums ever featured before this one in a Bond film was Myers back at Casino Royale. I may be wrong. Do you know if
Okay.
there's been
Yeah.
any other rums? There's not been any other rums that I could find besides that one.
No, as you know, he was a martini man, or he was
Yeah,
portrayed as a martini man. Ian
right.
Fleming himself was a martini man.
He
He was a
liked
gin
those
martini.
martinis.
Yeah, yep, yep.
I
Uh,
I do have a photo here, and again, I'm going to tell everybody this is coming to us from JamesBondLifestyle.com. We believe if you're looking for the scene where this rum is, this may indeed be the scene. You can see Daniel Craig holding a gun there with a. He looks like he's a bit surprised. I don't think it's from the rum. I think it's from something he hears.
I
With
think
a gun,
somebody's trying to take his rum, and that's why
somebody
he
he's
has
like, do not. That's right. Don't mess with
this
my
his
rum.
rum. Yeah,
Or else.
right.
But the rum's in the background, so we'll be watching for the rum um, in the film. It's no matter what, whether you spot the rum in the film or not. Maybe you even get a little of this rum and you take it in. I'm thinking I'm going to probably take some of this in a flask. Don't tell when I see it. But no matter what, this bottle, it's so exciting and it's so delicious. It's one of those things that even when the bottle's gone, you keep it and you say, "Hey, this is it's truly a piece of history from this film." But again, I love the story with the Blackwell family and how it goes back even further into him being a PA on Dr. No. I mean, that's the way the whole thing's come around is it's such a cool story. It really is.
Sure, yeah. And there's also I wanted to make sure that people knew
Yeah, please.
there's an augmented reality feature to the bottle, which essentially
Okay.
if you go to, it says on the back, if you go to blackwellar.com,
Okay.
open that up on your mobile phone, it'll ask you to access your camera. You
All right.
scan the barcode, and then it takes you to like a 3D version, narrated by Chris Blackwell, telling you his connection, to the movie. Some previous photos that he had with Sean Connery and the Dr. No filming. So really cool. And our website, if you go to blackwellrum.com and there's a 007 section, you can just read a little bit more of what I explained today to you guys.
So do you have to have the bottle then to scan it, or do you have
you've got to have the bottle to scan,
and then I've scanned the barcode.
Scan the barcode. Yeah,
that's so cool. Scan the barcode. I can't wait to do that. That will. What was the first Bond you remember seeing when you were growing up?
Yeah, my father was a Bond fanatic, so Dr. No was actually the first one I saw when I was younger. And I thought, I'm 45, so I saw it in the early mid 80s, and I couldn't believe that some of the action in it and some of it just seems so archaic and so old based on like what has happened. And then you look at a movie today and what people see in No Time to Die. I mean, the action and the special effects is just over the top. Yeah.
I'm right there with you in that generation. My dad took me to, and he may even be watching tonight. He watches a lot of my lives. He took me to Octopussy, I think in '83. That was the first I saw. And so I'm glad he took me to that as I was a young guy. And I've always enjoyed. We always go see the new Bond films, and probably will be here in the next few days. And again, the best thing to sip, probably. I mean, again, if you're thinking about what can you actually, I'm not suggesting anyone do this, okay? But you got Heineken beer, right? I know there's a red wine featured. You got this rum. What is easiest to take into the film? It's probably rum in the flask. Get some of this rum. Take in the flask. I didn't say so. Or maybe you watch it later or something. I don't know. But I can't wait. I can't wait to sip this rum as I'm watching the film. And I think what you guys have done is exciting. This is such big news. I hesitate to even say any other news coming from Blackwell. Any events, anything you guys are doing you want to mention that's either in association with the film or just coming up this year or next year that you want to
I think next year, stay on the lookout. We're working on a bigger age stated rum, sort of more of a reserve than what we have right now. So we're developing that with Ray and Nephew as well. So we want to obviously keep everything in Jamaica. But that's something to sort of come. But the bottle will be available throughout the end of the year, just because of, the movie was supposed to come out pre-COVID or when COVID hit. So it's been bumped a few times, but we have the rights to sell it through the end of the year. This movie has already gotten a lot of great reviews. So it launches, like you mentioned, tomorrow night, and it's going to be at theaters for quite some time. So I encourage you guys to go get it. Go to our website, blackwellrum.com. There's a buy now feature. You can buy either bottle, the existing regular that we have, or the sort of limited edition. If you follow us on social media, we're going to be doing a couple contests and sweepstakes coming up. We've got a few select bottles that we had Chris Blackwell sign.
Oh, cool.
So look out for those on our social channels. Something we wanted to wait for the movie to kind of premiere and be in theaters, and then we'll kind of start that initiative.
That's exciting. I think you're going to have a lot of new fans from this, and for good reason. It's delicious rum. It'll be fun to see what happens next. And Geoff, I really appreciate you taking some time to join us on BoubonBlog.com live as we celebrate with you the launch of No Time to Die. And while there may be no time to die, if you're with Bond at all, there's always a good time to drink.
Right. There you go. Excellent.
So, cheers, and cheers to the Blackwell family, to you, Geoff, and
thank you.
Delicious rum. And we'll look forward to tasting some more rums with you virtually in the future. And hopefully we'll be able to come see you and hang out with you and have some of your new age rum.
Excellent. Sounds great. I'll definitely be back.
All right. Cheers, my friend. And again, everybody, take a moment, like this, share this, and then visit blackwellrum.com to check out this new Blackwell rum for James Bond. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks.